And personally, I think the Toyota Hilux, overrated.
No, man.
So overrated.
Comes from a Ford guy
It's
speaking,
so over.
No, man.
Overrated.
No, you're upsetting me
So
now.
overrated.
You're
Yeah.
upsetting me
And what are you
now.
going to do about it? What are you going to... Okay, as a Christian, turn the other cheek, right?
So, how do I deal with people I disagree with?
Let's talk about that.
3, 2, 1.
So, we are going to speak about how to deal with people you don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah,
Because
we all know that conflict it's something we can't avoid. It's so unavoidable.
It's
no
so
matter
unavoidable.
where you go,
Yeah.
you're always going to meet someone you disagree with in one form or other.
Yeah, and also nowadays we got something called technology and social media.
Oh, yeah.
So
And cancel culture.
and
man.
cancel culture.
But we have a whole episode in there, so
Yeah.
be sure to check it out.
Check out the cancel culture. But there's also these things, and it's called the Karens.
Oh.
Am I saying it correctly? Karens.
The Karens.
The Karens.
The Karens.
The Karens. And these are the people that's out on a mission to find something to disagree with.
Oh, I love
And
it.
they always have their phone ready. So they're in your face always.
Yeah,
they're
always
like,
recording you.
I'm recording you. I'm recording you.
This next clip has all the hallmarks of a classic Karen. Yelling, breaking stuff, and the quintessential line, I want to speak to your manager. It's perfect.
Get that smirk off your face. I want to speak to your manager. Don't touch me either. I don't like the way I'm being treated here.
My favorite Karen is the wildly overdramatic Karen. This next one should win an award for Best Actress in a Karen video.
Go away. I don't know what you're saying. What are you doing? My car's not even on.
And the worst part of it all is, they always associate this with Christians.
Oh, yeah. Your music is too loud. Turn that down.
Yeah.
And this Karen
Yeah.
probably going to church on Sunday. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully she is, so we can tell her, listen,
Yeah.
give people space.
Give
alright?
people space.
Give people grace.
Yeah. And
But-
I have rights and this and this
Yeah.
and this and this. And we've all seen that videos.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable. It's everywhere on social media. It's become a thing now. And it's also become a thing like people actually make money off these videos. Just giving them just saying how bad these people are
Yeah.
and just belachelijk. They're just terrible people and
Yeah,
they're just
man.
really on a mission. So, but that's how
That's where the
world
culture is right
works.
now. But I think sometimes as Christians, we feel like when we meet conflict, when we meet our Karens, we always need to turn the other cheek or be nice,
Yeah.
meek, nice people and always give them the benefit of the doubt, so to
Yeah.
speak, and not to actually stand up for something.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that's what it is at all.
And that's not healthy. That's just compressing. That's like,
Yeah.
you just like that cheek is burning from that emotional slap you
Yeah.
took from that Karen.
Everyone's like, that's great blush makeup.
Yeah, it's
On the
like,
other hand,
that's
everyone's
cool.
just been slapping you.
Yeah, and I think that's the only reference we go to when we speak about conflict as Christians. And I don't think it's a healthy reference.
Not at all.
Because it's just compressing, and meanwhile, then you go home and then you take it out on your kids maybe, or your friends or your but not like that. Not like that.
Yeah.
But it's just compressing it. It's not actually dealing with the conflict. It's not actually resolving the problem that's there.
Yeah.
And I think our reference actually we're going to is Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus was actually such a good example of how to handle conflict. I think in any situation, Jesus is such a good example, but
Yeah.
for conflict as well.
Oh, definitely, man. I think he's one of the guys who walked on earth faced conflict so much, almost
Yeah.
everywhere he went.
Yeah.
But the thing I liked most about him is that he was always secure in who he was.
Yeah.
Always secure in his identity and what he was here to do and called to do. And he never wavered. He never moved it even a little bit. So I think even when he met the Pharisees, were always like
Yeah.
the Karens in his life, always asking him, what do you say about this? What does this mean?
Yeah.
And he was always there to answer right back with the good question, never wavering on his character, not
Yeah.
always looking for a fight. I think as Christians, we shouldn't always be looking for the fight either. I think if there is conflict to be in the world, which there is,
Yeah.
but if you're secure in who you are, you're not always going to act in rage or act in conflict or act
Yeah.
in this way, but actually going to meet it in a secure way.
And I think that's so important, is to actually really have security in you. Because if you see how all the Karens out there, we're badging on the Karens.
Sure, man.
But
if your name is Karen, listen,
we're sorry.
be the change you want to see in the world.
But people you disagree with, and those people that's out there getting a fight, just looking for the fight, looking for the conflict in an unhealthy way, not really out of the perspective of out of love, but just to dominate you or to just show he's the big guy.
Yeah.
I think that's out of a place of insecurity.
Definitely.
But Jesus was secure in who he was, and that's why he never backed down from a moment of conflict.
Yeah.
And that's also another thing. Jesus was so secure, but he also stood by his values always.
Yeah.
He was never afraid to offend someone.
Not at all, man. I think he always brought the truth with him everywhere he went. He was the truth.
He was the truth.
He is the truth. So I think Jesus never took a step back. He asked when everyone asked him what was what, he'd always speak truth.
Yeah.
He'd always live out truth. And I think that was really cool.
Yeah, and some people took offense from that.
Oh, definitely.
So he was not a people pleaser. Let's just say it like that. Jesus was not a people pleaser. He was actually someone that offended a bunch of people. He actually offended people to such an extent that they put him on a cross and crucified him.
Oh yeah, people were really offended.
Really, really offended. And he knew that, but this is the most important part. He always did these things out of love.
Oh, definitely.
But I think, how do you put this together? How do you put like standing up for yourself and actually sometimes offending people? How do you put love in that mix over there?
How do you mix love into that as well? I think you just follow the character of Jesus. And I think here's some few practical steps that we can actually give you as well. Just these 3 pointers is this. Listen. Before you get into anything, when you're going into any moment of conflict, just listen. And I think it's written in James where James 1 verse 19, he says, "My brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger." Don't always just jump in, guns blazing, just ready to shoot as soon as someone disagrees with you. But actually just listen. Sometimes people are speaking out of pain.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're speaking out of hurt. And if you can take the time in the moment and be present and listen, then you can notice that hurt. And then you can act in love because of that.
Yeah, and I think that's such a thing that we are need to take in as well. Because if you look at Jesus, he always gave the Pharisees a chance to speak.
Oh, definitely.
He always gave them a chance to give their argument, bring their argument to the table. But what we do sometimes is we're so like, we just want to get to the point. We just want to prove our point, and we just want to prove that we're right.
Yeah.
They will never give the other person a chance to speak. We'll just interrupt immediately and we go
way too
there.
quick to defend.
Yeah, and that's because insecurity.
Yeah.
Because we feel like as soon as our defense is down, that we can't like interrupt you and can't overspeak, like then we are insecure, and that leads to bad conflict.
Yeah. And I think the second one is this, is to have compassion. To have compassion with someone. I think if you're listening to this person, then you can hear the hurts, you can hear the pain.
Yeah.
And then you can have compassion with them, and you can actually journey through it with them and not always shoot back, because that's not what people want actually. Most people just want to be heard. But I think if you look at the character of Jesus and you look at the character of God, everything that he did was in compassion. Even with the Pharisees, telling them, listen guys, what you're doing isn't necessarily loving to you or your neighbor. So have compassion with them.
And this is the picture of love of God actually. He never looked at man and said like, yo, you're such a disappointment.
Yeah.
He saw the problem, and the problem was sin and death. And he sent someone in our place, in our shoes, in our circumstances to know exactly what we're going through and to conquer that for us. And that's compassion. That's compassion for us. And I think that's also the love that God has for us. So whenever we approach someone, we should have that same love and that same compassion for someone to actually not see them as a problem, but to look at the problem and actually try to resolve that problem. Me and Nandi always say, like, she's my girlfriend, we always say, we're not trying to fight each other, we're trying to fight the problem. In the end of it all.
Play the ball, not the man.
Play the ball, not the man.
And I think this last one is pretty cool as well. It's this one, is that you just pray. Pray for the person that you're in conflict with. Pray for the person that's not necessarily agreeing with you on a daily basis. Pray for that person. And I think Jesus also gave us an example of this. He says, on the cross, while everyone's being offended by his truth, he prays for them. And he says, Father, please forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Now imagine that, physically praying for the person who's harmed you, your enemy, your literal enemy in this moment.
And this is such a difficult thing. But it also works in our hearts.
Oh, definitely.
Because it leaves us in the place of surrender. It leaves us in the place to take that anger, all that revenge we want to get, all that wrath we have towards the environment or that person. God just comes and takes over and leaves us with forgiveness. And forgiveness is light. Carrying that burden of anger everywhere around you. It's like literally trying to poison someone, but you're drinking the poison the whole time.
And who dies?
Who dies? You, in the end. So just to pray for that person, pray blessings and favor over them, and hopefully that happens and that becomes reality in their lives. And maybe that resolves the problem and lightens up the conflict as well.
Definitely. So we want to challenge you guys to actually go out there and actually, one, listen, have compassion, and to pray for your enemies. Pray for the people who are your source of conflict. And just trust that God does something in them. All right. So if you guys enjoyed this content, remember to share, like, and subscribe, and ring that bell. Ring it like a church Sunday.
3, 2, 1.
So, on the topic of disagreement, we're gonna play a fun game, and we're gonna play a game with a rap and some water. So how the game works is you put a bunch of water in your mouth, chipmunk cheeks, and then you play rock, paper, scissors, and the one that loses gets smacked in the face by the rap. But the point of the game is you want the other person to spit out the water, because as soon as he spits out the water, he loses. It's quite simple. So let's play.
Let's call this game Turn the Other Cheek.
Turn the other cheek.
Bottoms up.